Holy crap. This was such a great episode of Game of Thrones. Honestly, I really don't want to jump the gun here, but I think I could honestly say that in terms of story progression and character development, this has been the strongest episode that we've gotten out of season 6 thus far. What's really cool about this is that a lot of the stuff that we got in terms of shock value, like they weren't really shocking. Like if you had been following the story for a long time, you kind of already knew that this was kind of like where the story might be headed already. But the thing that was really surprising was just how soon it happened. I was like, damn, like, this is happening now? Oh, okay. I thought it was really poetic that the strongest and most impactful part of the episode were at the beginning at the end. We open up with a shot of ice, and it's taking place at the wall, so that's the ice part. And then we close up with fire. Get it? Because it's a song of ice and fire. No, but seriously though, that reunion with Sansa and Jon, you have to be made out of stone if you didn't feel anything, man. Holy shit. They even used the Winterfell theme when they hug. Oh, it was such a rewarding experience. And I hope that we can see something similar with not just Jon and Sansa, but with, Jon and Rickon, Bran and Arya as well at some point. I mean, little by little, it looks like the wolf pack is coming back together, and I really hope that they're not doing this just to get our hopes up and build up the anticipation, and then just have like a Stark die near the finale of the season. That would just suck. I also thought it was really good acting from Sophie and Kit, just by looking at their expressions. Like their eyes do all the talking in this one scene. It's great. And then I don't know if you noticed this, but Sansa looks really pretty. No, there's something that's very different in her character. She's a lot more confident. She's a lot more assertive. In fact, she's the one who has the plan of telling. She tells Jon, "We need to take back our home." It's kind of like this really cool role reversal with her and Jon, where like normally Jon would be the one to motivate people and inspire and be the leader, right? But in this case, like he's just ready to give up, and Sansa's the one who's like telling him no. Like Winterfell is our home; it belongs to Arya and Bran and Rickon and you and my. Like, holy crap! It's like kind of like she has kind of like that cat spirit, It's like that's her mom's like living through her a little bit. I don't know. It was really refreshing to see like this very confident version of Sansa. And even by the end, where like I think Ed apologizes for the food, she's like, "That's okay. There are more important things." It just goes to show how much she's actually developed as a character. When before she would have just like thrown a bitch fit for the food or just complain about little things, right? There's even a stronger line that she gets when she tells Jon like, "I need your help, but I'll do it myself if I have to." I'm like, okay, all right there, okay. Let's just keep moving. The whole scene kind of gave me some Lion King vibes, just because it's about convincing Simba to go back to Pride Rock. In this case, it'd be, "Jon, you have to go back to claim your rightful place." And so the push that Jon needs comes in the form of Ramsay's letter, right? He tells him he has Rickon, he's gonna have Sansa raped, and that's it. Okay, we have to stop. We have to do something about this piece of shit. So, what's interesting though is that Brienne and Tormund are kind of like looking at each other. No, there's like some definitely romantic undertone going on here. And Tormund says that he has like 2K wildlings, so that's 2,000 wildlings that they can use to fight the Boltons. The Boltons have an army of 5,000 strong, and then Littlefinger is coming in from the Vale to help, quote unquote, Sansa. Which, can we really trust Littlefinger? Not really. I mean, he totally lied about being ambushed by the Boltons. He's the one who took Sansa there intentionally. And then also, we have the potential of Jon uniting the North, according to Sansa. Like, she says, like, the North is our home. If they see you, they will rally to your cause. They will support you. And in what seemed to be the most predictable scene of the episode, right, Ramsay kills Asha. I mean, come on, who was not expecting that to happen? It was so obvious it was going to happen. And I also think that Sansa's underestimating her self-worth in terms of how big of a factor she is in uniting the North and getting the other houses to support Jon in his fight against the Boltons, because she has legitimacy. Jon is technically still a bastard. Technically. R+L. We saw Theon in this episode go back home. He talks to his sister, and given the way the conversation went, do you think, okay, so Theon wants Yara to be head of the Iron Islands, right? He wants Yara to be the ruler of that region. So, could it be possible that because Theon is cool with Sansa, if Sansa were to ask, Pike's help, do you think she would be able to summon the Ironborn to fight for her cause. And if not, what's the point of Pike? See, here's the thing, right? Whenever we go to Dorne or Pike, the Iron Islands, I'm always like, okay, what is your end game? Like, technically speaking, what are you setting up with these two regions? I really like the stuff that we got from Meereen in this episode, because in his bargaining techniques, Tyrion is able to put forth a very realistic approach, and Missandei and Grey Worm question it, but not from a pragmatic approach, but from a moral and ethical approach. So the whole thing is the people, the masters want Daenerys to get the hell out of Slaver's Bay, right? Tyrion says, this is what we're going to do, right? Because he understands that slavery is an economic system. If you put away the discrimination and the immorality of it, all that stuff, it's an economic system, right? Like, people can't make money if they don't have slaves, especially when you have slavery going on for so many years, right? It's kind of like the same thing that happened in the Civil War, the North versus South. If you took away the slaves, yes, there were people that were racist and people that loved to discriminate against other people. But a big problem here is that, wait, what are we going to do? How are we going to eat if you remove this economic system? And so despite slavery being a horrible thing, the way that you convince other people to, stop doing it is by saying you can make money without slavery. And not only that, but there's the potential for making more money without it. And I think Tyrion understands that slavery is a horrible thing. Maybe not as well as Missandei does, but he also understands that, you need to make these economic changes gradually, which is why he gives the masters a grace period of 7 years. To me, that's a little bit too long, honestly. And I'm not really sure how he came up with those 7 years. Like, how did he know that it would take 7 years for this change to occur in a quote-unquote, less violent manner? And speaking of Civil War, we have King's Landing. So it's already been decided that they're not going to let Marjorie go through the Walk of Shame. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily what Tommen told Cersei. I really wanted to be in the room when Tommen confessed that specific bit of information to Cersei. I don't know if that's just what he said, or if Cersei's manipulating Tommen's words into making the Tyrells bring in the army. Either way, this is going to get ugly pretty quick, because like Kevin said, if we fuck up and we fail or we mess up, there's going to be a civil war, because the High Sparrow has a lot of supporters. That's why they haven't been able to do anything. A lot of sexual references in this episode, specifically pertaining to Daenerys. Just a lot of fucking and raping dialogue going on. And actually, I think it starts off with Daario telling Jorah that you won't be able to handle her in bed. And I think Jorah should have said, "Little Daario, I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee no problem in that aspect." So Daario knows about the grayscale now, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be a very important plot point later on. Anyway, they go in and they kill 2 dudes. That's pretty much all they do. And then Daenerys is like, "No, wait, let me handle this." She says, "I'm going to do something here and I'm going to need your help." And I'm like, by the end of the episode, you needed their help to do what? To just throw some oil on the floor? So she burns the shack down. I really like the scene. I specifically like the sound effect that they used with the fire. As it spread, it sounded either like a dragon or a horse. But anyway, you knew she was up to no good when you saw this face. This is the "I'm gonna give you 2 seconds to take back what you just said, or I'm gonna kill you, Mother of Dragons" face. This is the Dracarys face. Now, honestly, I'm not complaining about this, because she's an amazingly good-looking woman, right? But I was surprised that she actually came out naked, just because I thought that Emilia Clarke had a no nudity clause in one of her contracts. I think they made such a big deal about her not being nude anymore in the show. But I guess after the masterpiece that was Terminator Genesis, I think she had to lower her standards a little bit, Beggars can't be choosers. Because titties are titties, no matter what, right? No, but in all seriousness, though, I do think there's a stylistic difference between a scene being nude for a sexual scene versus being nude for a scene of empowerment, which is what I think we got by the ending of this episode. It's a total throwback to that scene in Season 1 when she comes out of the fire with those dragon eggs, and they've already hatched, and you got the dun 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 dun. Even got the crowd bowing and shit. No, but I like the way that this was handled, because the final scene is a reference to Season 1, as is the beginning of this, because there's a lot of talk about Winterfell and how things used to be, and how Sansa, she wishes that she just could have told herself, "Don't go, idiot, don't go." It's very nostalgic, and I really like the way it was handled. I was watching the episode and I'm thinking to myself,
I'm really glad that this is happening really soon, but at the same time, it's kind of like, oh, wait. Does that mean that we're really close to the end? Because honestly, when it comes to Jon and Daenerys, those seem like they just made like final, like Endgame plays are beginning to appear on the board. In Jon's case, you take the North, and he's a little bit closer to taking King's Landing if he wanted to, right? And in Daenerys' case, you get a Dothraki army alliance, and you're that closer to coming into Westeros and invading the shit out of it. I was really tired last week, and my mind just, I had a massive brain fart in which I just completely neglected to talk about Arya. It's absolutely atrocious. And we didn't get to see her at all this week. We'll get her next week for sure. So now she's able to see, and there's two major things that I noticed from last week's episode with her. Number one is that she's asked about her brothers, all right, as she's training during the training montage. And she says, okay, there's Jon, Robb, Bran, and Rickon. And before, when she said Rickon, I think after that, like that's when Rickon came back, when we saw him, be given to Ramsay. So I thought that was like kind of like a cool little like nudge, like you're gonna see Rickon, so remember who he is. And boom, we got him in the previous episode. And so I think that because she was asked about the Hound, it seems like you're asking her a little bit too much about it. So it might be a reference to the Hound coming back. I also don't think that timing is a coincidence, and that like she's finishing up her training at the same time that Daenerys is just kind of like, it looks like she's getting ready to leave to Westeros. So I think that Arya will catch a ride with some of Daenerys' ships, or as she makes her way westward, she's just gonna sneak herself into that one of those ships, like a stowaway, like kind of like the way that she got to Bravos in the first place. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more Game of Thrones reviews. Comment down below with your thoughts. Like the video if you did. I appreciate that. Catch you guys later. Bye.